All right, so we'll go ahead and get things started. So thanks for coming on out today. I know we're hitting a pretty tough point in the semester for everyone, so thanks for coming on now. We're fortunate to have Bob Smerbeck today from AccuWeather, so I will let him take it away.
Good. Thanks a lot, Jake. Good afternoon, everybody, and happy election day. So I haven't voted yet, but I'm voting later today. I'm just glad the polls closed today. But we had great election day weather, though. Whoever voted this morning, But I guess we'll get the map discussion started off. Or one thing I do want to mention is I'm a Penn State grad. I graduated in 1983, and had some great teachers back in the day, and that tradition is kept on. A lot of the Penn State folks we get at AccuWeather are top notch. So Penn State's still doing a great job. All right, we can start off here as a satellite view. Up here, we see a nice classic comma shape here with the comma over Michigan. Dry slot coming up through Ohio into western PA. It looks like there may even be a little potential convection going on in the dry slot. Then a cold front extending southward from central and eastern PA on down into the deep south. You can really pick up the front down here in the deep south. It's showing up very nicely here. So it's a pretty robust pattern here, upper air pattern, and just zoom out to a full disc or get more of the Pacific involved here. There's pretty decent shots of energy that will be diving southeastward through western Canada. And this pattern that we're in right now looks like it's not going to change much. Have generally a mean trough over the central part of the country, maybe shifting east a little bit, and then a positive ridge along the west coast. So that's a positive PNA pattern with ridging in the western North America and troughing in the east. That kind of a pattern, sometimes it takes forever to get the cold air east of the mountains. So one thing we always watch out in a pattern like this is not to rush the cold air too fast east of the mountains until the actual upper level trough shifts eastward. Looking at a surface map, this would be a 15Z surface map. Now it's 10 a.m. now. It has the main cold front back here in western PA. And one of my colleagues, Dave Dombeck, likes to talk about a loopy warm front. These are the ones that'll keep the cool air holding on. Now, when I looked at the 12Z map earlier this morning, it was more pronounced. Let's see if I can get that. Yeah, you can see here's the warm fronts offshore here. Still have somewhat of an easterly stable flow into eastern Pennsylvania, but things are starting to change a little bit now as the surface low shifts deeper into the Michigan, and the front shifts further east, so the winds are starting to respond a bit, and even the coastal warm front has come up the coast. I see Jersey here has dew points in the lower 60s, so this is a fairly warm air mass coming up the east coast here. Further south you get, there's even dew points not far from 70 down in the Carolinas. The thing about this storm center is sweeping northeastward up into the eastern Great Lakes. That's where most of the upper level energy is focused. So although there will be thunderstorms out ahead of the front further down into the Carolinas, the threat for severe weather doesn't look as great as it did perhaps a couple of days ago. We got to pan this out a little more here. There's a secondary cold front across the Midwest, and there's some mighty cold air up here in western Canada. Temperatures single digits in the lower teens. So, and that's the upper level flow patterns coming out of the northwest. So a lot of cold air will be spilling into the northern plains here. Anybody has any comments or questions along the way, just chime right in. Welcome the thoughts. Hey, here we go with the national radar. Take a closer look here into northwestern Pennsylvania, northwestern New York. It did look a little convective on the GOES satellite there. So there may be some gusty showers, maybe some isolated thunderstorms in that area. The cloud cover is very, very pronounced here, so east of the mountains. So that's having a very negative effect on convection out here for eastern Pennsylvania. even into the upper Delmarva, there's still a fair amount of clouds in there. So that, it's going to have a lot to overcome here to get any severe weather. Parts of Pennsylvania, better shot the further south you go toward the Tidewater and down into the Carolinas, but even down there, it's going to be probably pretty isolated. So here's our big wound-up storm over Michigan. Around the backside, the cold air is coming down out of Canada. You can see looks like a vortex here coming through North Dakota. There's probably some decent snows going on there. And there's looks like a short wave probably coming through the middle of the country here. We'll have to keep an eye on this as it comes eastward, but it will be going into pretty dry air, so it may not do a whole lot over the next 12 to 24 hours. Okay, checking out the E-wall here. This is a 300 millibar winds. You can see where the nose of the jet is heading up into the eastern Great Lakes. Going to bypass much of the mid-Atlantic coast. So it's energizing whatever convection is going on right now in northwest PA. This jet is definitely helping out. Now they're in the middle of a dry sludge, so moisture is limited. So that's one thing that really stands out that I'm looking at here is just the nose of the jet. But it's not in the best location to get severe weather east of the mountains. And we also have another jet max coming down out of eastern Pacific into the Pacific Northwest. And generally a mean 300 millibar trough over central or western Canada. Here's where the axis is. So I mean, the cold air has a long way to go, the bitter cold air, before it reaches any place here in the eastern United States. Let's get in closer to home here. This is we're going to take a look at the E-wall. Let's see what Z time we got here. This is off, looks like the 16Z run. This is the HRRR. Precipitation-wise, it's matching up. Let's take a look here. So the main band of precip is over central and moving at the eastern PA. It's not actually doing too bad. It does have the area from Wilkes-Barre back just east of State College down into parts of Franklin County down there, and then more pronounced precipitation across New Jersey up into New England. That's probably where the best portion is going on right now, out ahead of the storm center. The nose of the jet popping up into the eastern lakes. Keep an eye on this area down in here from lower Delmarva down toward Raleigh. It's a very skinny band. And it's pretty linear. I did look at the winds. They were pretty unidirectional, so we didn't have a whole lot of directional shear. Plus, the flow pattern has been somewhat of a west-southwest flow, very strong flow coming down off the Appalachians, so it tends to downslope and dry out this line as it goes through the Carolinas. Modeling did show this, at least for the last couple of days, had a pretty solid band of rain coming across the Tennessee Valley, and then once it got east of the mountains, it just fractured and weakened. So, but if there's anything that's going to happen down here, it's probably going to be within the skinny band. Here's the SPC. They have a slight risk from about the central Delmarva down into northeastern North Carolina. So this area has tended to shrink over the last couple of days. It also seemed like this storm sped up a little bit too. So SPC is going with. Now we do have off the pro side here, we added the ensemble HRF from the SPC site. This is a pretty interesting model here. It takes the ensembles, severe weather ensembles. I guess it used to be the SEEO or something like that off that SPC. I'm not even, that's a long acronym. It's some kind of ensemble. The ensemble is in that somewhere. So this here is, let's see, we have 10-meter wind speeds. Now, strongest winds are going to be probably over Lake Erie, just underneath the storm as it's bombing out, heading northeastward into Canada. The yellow wind speeds represent 30 knots of wind. And when you get up into the reds, that's where wind speeds get over 40 knots. So places like Buffalo and maybe Dunkirk and some areas down at the end of Lake Erie, you're going to have some strong winds. Also, there's probably going to be a lot of water getting piled right up into western New York, right along the coast. I think there's a coastal flood watch out for that part of Lake Erie. So this seems to be the area where the strongest synoptic winds are going to be today. And plus, going across the lake, it's lack of friction there. So what's interesting is the models actually pick up on this for an ensemble. This here is your helicity. A lot of helicity with that loopy warm front coming up the coast, as you can imagine, across eastern Pennsylvania. This is where we are right about now. This is off the 0Z run, the 6Z run, the HREF. So a lot of your helicity is over into Jersey, southern New York. And compare that with the Cape, though. There's not a whole lot of Cape up in there. It's with all the cloud cover, it's just limiting the amount of Cape that can get up there. So the threat for severe weather is probably not that high in Pennsylvania. We'll have to keep an eye on things further east up into New England. Maybe something, little area that could develop there. This here is the 2 to 5 kilometer updraft helicity swath. There's a couple swaths here, although the probability is very low. For the helicity, the probability is pretty low. It's probably less than 10% in eastern PA on up into parts of southern New England here. So that's not that big of a problem as far as that's concerned. Let's see something. You know what happens when you hit the wrong button? You lose your data. Somehow it came back. Okay, so that's the HREF. It's a new tool to use, and that brings us to some of our modeling here. I got the last night's run of the European model, the 12Z GFS and the 12Z NAM model, just to kind of take things into the future here. That's a sensitive touch. Okay, let's see where we are. Right about here as we get into this evening. One thing I did want to mention, it looks like the way this precip's moving along, it may clear out of places eastern Pennsylvania for voting. I guess voting ends at 8 o'clock, so the precip should get out of there for anybody that maybe got stuck in some with the weather earlier today. The storm center heads up into Canada. The pressures keep falling, so there's going to be some gusty winds across Pennsylvania later tonight and tomorrow. And there was some indication of some lake effect snow, mostly across Michigan, that part of the Great Lakes. And there may be a little band or so that moves off Lake Erie during the day tomorrow into western New York and downwind of Lake Ontario to the Tug Hill. So there's probably going to be a light accumulation of snow there. What I did want to do here is get a little snow pattern here. Some winter weather, little Kuchera method. And this here's the European loading up from last night. Curious to see what it says. We get into Wednesday night, Thursday morning, not really showing much, so have to look down the road to get into better chances of precip. So that kind of takes us through tomorrow. There's another. Watch that touching. Another short wave will come down out of Western Canada, hit the bottom of the Rockies there, and going to develop another wave of low pressure over the middle of the country here. Meanwhile, the front that gets down into the southeast is going to stall, so all this moisture is waiting for this shortwave energy to come down across the Rockies. And the precip's going to blossom again as we get into Thursday night. Snowfall will come out of the plain or the central plains here, so it is going to snow pretty far south. We get into Thursday afternoon and Thursday night. Kansas City, maybe Des Moines gets in on the act. Chicago is possible that Thursday night they see a little snow in Chicago. The range situation is going to be coming up here in Pennsylvania. Question is how cold is it going to be and how dry is it for the precip comes in during the day Friday. If it's we're sitting here in the 30s with wet balls, dew points in the 20s, there may be some sleet on the front end of this, so that's something we'll be keeping an eye on here for into Friday afternoon. But it looks like a mostly rain event for Pennsylvania, a soaking rain event. We've seen these patterns here several times now over the past couple of weeks, where you can watch the energy drop down into the plains and eject out, and these rainmakers keep coming up into Pennsylvania. I guess we're getting close. I think we have 55 inches of rain for the year. Bill alerted me to that, and the record's 59 and change. So we are going to have additional chances to get precipitation. It doesn't take much to get a half-inch of rain out of these systems. But the snow that comes out of the Midwest, it's going to snow pretty decently across Great Lakes, Michigan, UP of Michigan, up into Canada. Yeah, looks like a triple point low here. It's going to come up the coast. There's this area here, got a little wedge of cool air down into the mid-Atlantic here. There's a wave of low pressure along the front there. So there will be another wave that comes up the coast, perhaps similar to what we saw yesterday. And that'll just help to enhance rainfall for mid-Atlantic states up into New England. And now on the backside of that low, that's where the cold air is going to come in earnest into this weekend. Temperatures may be in the teens this Saturday night, so it looks like most of the flow pattern will be such that the mountains intercept most of the precipitation. We probably could get some snow flurries and snow showers here, at State College on Saturday. Temperature is probably in the 30s, so it's going to be an interesting day. Penn State has a home game, right? So that's not going to be a fun game to be at. Gusty winds, snow showers, and temperatures. Wind chills probably down in the teens and 20s. So it's pretty. Not a good time to be out there unless you dress warm, of course. All right, let's see what else happened here down the road. More energy coming down out of Canada. Little clipper system comes across the northern plains here over the weekend. Looks like our Sunday is going to be dry here with high pressure building across Pennsylvania and cold though, for sure. And this next clipper system may try to hook up with some energy coming off the Gulf of Mexico. Talking to a few people at work today, and we do think there may be a low coming up the coast in the middle of next week. The cold air that dumbbells in behind this is going to be brutally cold. There's probably going to be single-digit cold coming into the upper Midwest, into the northern plains here later in the weekend. And this system, there may be a chance of snow here on Friday. I think right now we have a chance of rain in our official forecast with a high of 40. We'll have to see how that all pans out. Timing is going to be continually shifting. So there's a possibility here of a coastal storm and a chance for snow here at State College. This pattern is very busy, so that's kind of like what we're looking at as we get through next weekend and early the following week. And eventually the trough axis is going to come through the eastern United States. Looking at the modeling here, look at the thickness lines. You can see where the trough axis is. It'll get cold east of the mountains compared to what they've had, but you need to get the brutal cold into the bigger cities like New York, Philadelphia. You want to see that trough axis swing through. That's definitely going to be the case early next week, or I should say, after the 6-day forecast. We got Disney Junior here.
I don't know why I get those emails.
Well,
sure.
We're not judging.
Sure. What can I say?
Okay, let's see what else happens here. This is generally out to 6 to 10 day period here. So that's, the storm center would probably be at the early part of that, and then followed by more brutal cold. And as we looked at a long range, we have a map up here. And let's see. I did look at the ensembles earlier today. They do show low heights all across the eastern part of the country here during the 6 to 10 day period. And then the low heights area shifts up into eastern Canada. And actually, above normal height starts shifting across the central part of the country into the east. So we think in the 10 to 15 day period, temperatures are going to relax again. Instead of having highs in the 30s, maybe even as cold as the 20s, we'll probably get back up into the 40s and 50s during the 10 to 15 day period as this pattern kind of relaxes and we get more of a zonal flow. Did call up the GEFS plumes here. Looking at State College for some snow here. Let's see what we've got. So this here, let's see, we're right here. This is election day to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Ensemble's not really showing much. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday though. I see about an inch of snow showing up Tuesday. The GEFS ensemble is showing the chance for some snow early next week or early to middle part of next week.
Isn't the 9th Friday?
What's that?
The beginning there.
Yeah, the 9th is Friday.
Yeah, so
Friday.
I was just saying, because that would
Oh yeah,
match
it's
the
doubles here. Yeah,
chance
that's
for the
right.
weekend.
That's a good point. I thought these were going every 12 hours here. Okay. Let's see here. Friday.
Yeah.
1 inch of snow. So that's have to keep an eye. That's probably going to be in the wake of the storm. Or you think that might be in the beginning of the storm on a front end loaded situation? Let's take a closer look
Probably
at
depends on the time.
that. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's going to be on the front end loaded. So that's cold air in place. Running a storm center into the cold area. We're east of the mountains, so the cold air takes forever to get scoured out. So, yep, could be some snow, but you know what happens around here. If you've been here long enough, it goes right to sleet, freezing rain, and then it is drizzle. And that's probably we're gonna have a slop storm here. Yeah, GEFS is right. Okay, so let me get my bearings here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and so it's Tuesday. Yeah, so it looks more like a bona fide chance of snow here for the system as we get into probably a week from today or so. And that's about all I have as far as the forecast is concerned. Anybody have any questions about anything about the weather in general, or?
Looks cold.
What's that?
What's that?
Looks cold.
Yes. Yeah, it looks cold until 10 to 15 day.
Any questions, points of discussion for Bob? Score prediction for Saturday?
Score prediction. Let's see.
I don't know if we even want to discuss
Yeah, I
score
don't think
predictions.
that's.
I don't want to jinx it.
After last week.
I take it you're not going to the game.
No, I'm not going.
Okay. I can tell by the way you were presenting that you were going to be.
You know what? I have an opportunity. Second guessing it though.
I can respect that.
If I was about 20 years younger, it wouldn't bother me at all.
So I have a question. So the Philadelphia Marathon is not this weekend, but the weekend afterwards.
Okay.
We're kind of, I know that it's still a long ways out. What are the ensembles kind of hinting at for that time frame? You mentioned it might warm up a little bit in the 10 to 15 day period. Would that be
Yes.
sort of the time frame we're looking at there?
So here's a 6 day, the 10 day comes out to here.
Does
Yes.
that mean you're running in it?
I'm running the half marathon the day before.
Okay.
But I'm outside cheering people for the marathon the day of the
Oh, that's
marathon.
nice. Awesome.
So I want to know if I need to bring my winter coat.
Okay.
Now, what's the date on that again?
That'd be the 11th? No, that's, oh, it's a week. That's the 18th?
18th.
Yeah.
One interesting thing here, and this is the end of the 10-day period here, but if you look at the systems coming across Canada right now, and you see more of a, instead of a system diving down through the Rockies into the plains, it seems, this is the GFS here, but it seems like more of a zonal flow across Canada. If that's the case, then eventually it will warm up. Temperatures may get closer to average.
Average is good.
Average.
We'll get that as a
What's
win.
an average height? Really not.
For that time of year, it's probably like 40%. All right, maybe it's 50s. I don't know. I'm not from Philly, so I
Well,
don't.
50s was,
how great it
it was a New York City marathon, and like the weather was perfect.
Yeah, it was a nice day for it.
It was, yeah. Yeah, that was just fast.
I think Philly's average height today is 59, so by then they might lose.
A couple of degrees.
Okay, yes, it might be like 50.
That's possible. I did have another graphic on here, but I can call it up.
Was that the text forecast?
Oh no, the text forecast. Here's the AccuWeather forecast for State College. Now this takes us all the way out to let's see. There's a Tuesday would be 6 days. Yeah, I think this is a 15-day forecast. So let's see. Look at our Friday forecast. Something we'll have to keep an eye on. If that cold air is there to start the day, we have a low of 32, so it's possible that this is not. I tell you, if we start out at 32 and it starts raining in the morning, maybe we'll get up to 35.
Yeah, it'll be a brutal day.
It's going to wet ball with the easterly flow, and that's it. And then we have a flurry behind us, the Friday system. And then let's see here. Friday for Saturday night, low at 24. Got 40s, and there's going to be some clouds around for these lows to work out like this. You don't have much of a diurnal here, 10-degree diurnal between daytime highs and nighttime lows. So I imagine there's going to have to be some clouds there. And here's the Tuesday system. A chance of a little rain. It could possibly snow out of that one. Looks like the long-range ensembles are more excited about that. And then it stays on the cold side here. And we start to see somewhat of a moderation, though, when we get out past 10 days here. So enjoy the cold for now. Hopefully it gets warmer. That's about all I got. So I want to thank you all for having me over here to do the map discussion.
Take your time.
Yeah, thanks again for coming out today. Next week, we'll actually have Dave Tom back from AccuWeather as well, so nice string of AccuWeather folks coming through.
It's an AccuWeather.
Absolutely, yes.
That was last week.
Elliot.
Oh, Elliot, yeah.